Alright guys, so this is another Patreon request, and this one comes from my good friend Chris, aka the Mount Vernon Kid. Chris, I know you're watching. Thank you for your continued patronage, and if you'd like to have a Patreon request done, just hit the link below, head on over to my Patreon, and hit the 4th tier, where then you guys can send me requests for videos to do here on YouTube. Now, this is one of the 4 requests he asked me to do, and this was actually something, because I think someone sent him this as a Patreon request, so yeah. So basically, as you can see, 10 villains I want to see is in the MCU. Now, in the MCU, we've had a long-standing level of villains show up, but there are some clear, people missing. There are some characters that are still missing in the MCU, so we're going to go through that. Now, a couple stipulations. This isn't really like a top 10. This is more like 10 characters I'd like to see. Also, this will not be filled with X-Men villains, because that would be really fucking easy. I will say I do have 2 in here. I decided to go with a maximum of 2 X-Men villains for the MCU, and they're 2 I've wanted to see in X-Men movies in general. Now, as also, Doctor Doom and Mephisto are not a part of this list. Why? Because it's pretty obvious they're sending at this point, Marvel's sending signals that Doom and Mephisto are probably going to be in the MCU very soon. They're kind of just basically telegraphing it now. So, Doom and Mephisto are not on this list. Who also isn't on this list? Galactus. Why? Because I've never really considered Galactus a villain. And Galactus is just way... The thing about Galactus, and I've done a video about this a long time ago, was Galactus is beyond, comprehension of good and evil. He's basically, just beyond that. So... yeah, I don't consider Galactus a villain on here, but would I like to see him in the MCU? Absolutely. Especially done right. None of this cloud shit. Anyway, so let's get started. So our first character is a Thor villain that is literally the last major holdout for Thor villains. Literally, where is she? And that's Amora, aka the Enchantress. Amora literally is the last big major Thor villain. Yeah, he does have a few others here and there, but Amora is one of his most classic villains, and I feel like she's just been kind of thrown to the side along with a few other, vast majority of Thor characters, especially like Balder. And yeah, you've already gotten rid of Scourge, one of her major characters. I feel like, yeah, it would be kind of cool to see her maybe not so much take on Thor, but maybe you have her show up in the MCU, because you're now doing this thing of mixing up villains with heroes. So maybe have her, I don't know, it'd be kind of cool to see Amora show up in She-Hulk, mostly because, she kind of has that kind of same thing Jennifer does, of that I'm hot and I'm going to use that to my advantage and do what I wish, but also, yeah, kind of seduce people along the way. I think that'd be a lot of fun. So yeah, Amora definitely was one I wanted on this list. Next up, we have the Brood. The Brood are definitely one of the 2 most wanted X-Men villains I want to see. We've got Apocalypse, we've had Magneto multiple times. It's time to get some more bizarre stuff. And for honorable mention, I will say the Phalanx would be really cool too. But the Brood would be terrifying. I absolutely would love to see the Brood be... And I honestly think they could work as other people's villains. Especially, I would think they'd be really good as, in a Captain Marvel movie. I think Carol Carol has battled the Brood enough times to be yeah, she can take on the Brood can be in one of her movies too. So the Brood would just be horrifying. Just imagine the Xenomorphs with superpowers. That's kind of what they are. They are these terrifying monsters that will come at you, and they're also pretty damn smart. I think they would be a lot of fun to see in the MCU. I think they'd be pretty damn scary too. And plus, it would also be hilarious because now Marvel would have the Brood, and they're also doing Alien movies again very soon. So I think that'd just be hilarious. Anyway, so the Brood. I also, if you notice, I do have it written down because there was no way I was going to remember them all. So yeah, the Brood, definitely I would love to have in the MCU. So following that is a Fantastic Four villain I want more than... Well, as much as I'd love to see Doom here and done right, the one villain I would love to see just as much, if not more than Doom, is Annihilus. I would absolutely love to see Annihilus in the MCU. And I would love to see the Negative Zone in general. We've had the Negative Zone in that god-awful movie that we shall not name, but the Negative Zone would be a great place to kind of explain where the Fantastic Four have been, because it's not supposed to be an origin story. Maybe you could have it that maybe Doom trapped the Fantastic Four in the Negative Zone, and they've just been gone this long, and they think it's been a few months, but really in our time, it's been several years since they've gone missing in the Negative Zone, and maybe that's where they got their powers too. And also, you could have it that they've been trapped there for so long, and they've been actually, like, they've had opportunities to go back, but in doing so would unleash the Annihilation Wave. And this way you can maybe have or you could even have Annihilus. You could have Annihilus in there, and you could even have Blastar, too, his rival, in the Negative Zone. I think that would be really cool. Even maybe have a mention of Janus, the Negative Man. That's a very obscure Fantastic Four villain for you. But yeah, Annihilus would be an excellent villain to see on here. I think he would just be an imposing and just terrifying creature to see. And again, maybe do a cosmic event for Disney Plus as a movie or as a show. Maybe do Annihilation as a Disney Plus show event. Maybe. So there you go, Annihilus. Next up, we have Mr. Sinister. This is my favorite X-Men villain, and literally the one X-Men villain I think not only myself, but literally everyone else freaking wants at this point. Like, everyone and their mother wants to see Mr. Sinister on the big screen. I think it's high time that if you're going to bring back the X-Men, I think it's high time that we bring in Sinister, and definitely I think they'd probably go the more Victorian route, like him with the suit and tie. I personally would love to see him in the full 90s regalia of the shredded cape, the suit, all of that. I think that would be a lot of fun. I mean, they teased him enough in Fox. It's high time they bring in Mr. Sinister. Maybe he'll finally show... Maybe he'll be in Deadpool 3? That'd be kind of... I think, like... The most logical place right now, I think, where we're going to get more X-Men stuff is Deadpool 3. So, and you've already teased him enough, and a lot in the Deadpool movies. I think, yeah, have Sinister be the villain for Deadpool 3, and maybe like that you can explain that's how Wolverine came back, is that Wolverine was resurrected by Sinister. Yeah. Anyway, so there you go. Next up, we have Nightmare. Nightmare is a villain I've wanted to see in the MCU and battle Doctor Strange for a pretty goddamn long time. He's terrifying. I would love to have just him be this guy who just messes with Strange, kind of like doing, like, imagine like Freddy Krueger, but like God level. Like, that's the best way to describe Nightmare, is just have him like just terrorize Doctor Strange on a mental level that makes him afraid, like, am I awake, am I asleep, all of that. Also, Sam Raimi clearly wants to do that as a villain too, so hopefully if there's another Doctor Strange movie after the Dark Dimension movie, yeah, have Sam Raimi do it and just go all out on Nightmare. He was supposed to be the villain for Doctor Strange, but then it got changed to Multiverse of Madness. So yeah. So following that is Blackheart. Now, like I said, I wasn't going to have Mephisto on this list because it is very clear that he's showing up. Who isn't clear to be showing up is Blackheart, Mephisto's son. I think Blackheart would be a really cool villain to have as, like, maybe the major villain for the supernatural side. Maybe be the reason we get Legion of Monsters? Something like that. Like, I think that would be pretty, like, him being another secondary villain would be a lot of fun, and also scheming against his father. It's just, and yeah, I would love to see him, not in, like, some stupid, like, Hot Topic getup. I want to see him in, like, full demon-like form. Anyway, moving on now to Morgan Le Fay. Morgan Le Fay would be, was kind of an interesting one, because she's another Doctor Strange villain who would be completely just awesome to see and really kind of deal with Arthurian lore. And she does have ties to the X-Men, so you could have her in an X-Men movie or something adjacent to the X-Men film. Or, because there's a lot of rumor of Captain Britain showing up in the MCU in the future, but then again, that's always been the thing, but now we can finally do it because X-Men's here, and we could do stuff with the Braddock family finally. Yeah, you could definitely, and the Braddocks are connected to Arthurian lore, as is the Black Knight. So you could have with Captain Britain, and maybe even have an MI6 movie or Excalibur movie, and have Morgan Le Fay be the villain. Like, that's how you could do it, is like something with Excalibur or MI13, and do something with Morgan Le Fay as the big villain. So there you go. So following that is Zodiac. Zodiac is one of the last like Shield / Captain America / Avengers villains we haven't really had yet, and I think it's high time we finally get those guys. Zodiac is would have made more sense than the leader for New World Order, honestly, because they're all about New World Order in general. So yeah, I'm still like, why not just do the Hulk with the leader movie? I mean, leader in a Hulk movie. Whatever. Zodiac's right there. Anyway, so moving on now to the next villain, and that is Fin Fang Foom. Fin Fang Foom is a character I'm kind of hoping we get, and Shang-Chi kind of teases it, but I'm kind of now thinking, is it more connected to the time travel stuff we're getting right now in Multiverse? So maybe it's not the Makluan, but I'm holding out hope we get Fin Fang Foom, because yeah, and you could say, oh, but we had him in Iron Man 3. We did not have an Iron Man 3. Shut up. Yeah. Fin Fang Foom, just big kaiju lizard. Give him like Charles Dance's voice. I don't fucking care. Anyway, and finally for our last villain is the Super Skrull. Now, this is a guy I do think we're getting. Out of all these guys, I think he is the next logical step. He is the next logical villain to get, because yes, the Fantastic Four are coming. We are getting Secret Invasion. I am of the hopes that maybe we do get Color here in Secret Invasion, and then he gets upgraded by the end to have all the Fantastic Four powers, and save him for either the Fantastic Four movie or something of that nature. That would be a lot of fun. But of these, I do think Colored has the best. He is probably going to show up next. And remember, all of these guys have a shot. It's just, when are we going to get them? But I do think Colored is coming. The Super Skrull. Anyway, so you guys tell me in the comments below, what are 10 MCU villains you would like to see in the show? What are 10 Marvel villains you want to see in the MCU? Just comment below, let me know. Chris, thank you so much for this Patreon request and for your continued patronage. Other than that, I'm Mr. Multiverse. I'll see you next time in the Multiverse.